Hi, grade sixes. Welcome to IXL for today. It's our last session we're having on the section Z. So we have a test tomorrow. So let us get going with that. Share my screen for you. IXL. Right, we're going to be looking at names of angles. So in an angle, there are three different ways that you could name an angle. So let's have a look at this one. Look at this angle. Here we have two lines joining at a vertex. The vertex is the point, and that forms an angle. That little red line is representing the angle that is forming. So naming this angle, you have to call it an angle. It's like Mrs. McDonald's, kind of like its name, right? Like its title. So it's an angle. So we're going to use this little angle button. Now there's three different ways that you could do this. You could type in just the angle that it is, which is Y. Make sure that you've got your capital Y going. You can just press caps lock on your computer if you have that option. If you're not on an iPad or another device. Right, so angle Y would be this angle's name. You could do it two other ways. You can go from where it came from to the point and to where it's going. All right, and this is important so that you know if, for example, if I were to draw, say, another point, let's make it green so it looks the same. If I were to have another line going off that way, and perhaps this was angle X, Y, Z, V, W, right? If that was W, I would need to make sure that I am saying that that angle there with the little red, it does not come from W. So I have to write that it comes from X. Let me get out of there. It comes from X, the point is Y, and it's going to Z. Now this is the more, the safer option, I would say. If you have a point where you've got two lines, more than two lines heading to Y, you can't just call it angle Y because there's actually that angle Y and that angle Y. Sometimes they call it Y1 and Y2, but to keep it simple, you want to go from one of the lines that makes that angle to the Y and go to where it is going, which is the Z. Now, you could also accept it coming from the opposite direction. You could say, oh, it's coming from Z, going to Y, and up to X. Both would be accepted, as long as your vertex Y is in the middle. All right, so let's submit that. Let's go on to another question. Let me just erase what I've got here. Okay, so we have got S, T, and R. Okay, so pause, see if you can think of the answer, come back. Remember your title of angle. You have to put the angle in. I could write that it's STR. Make sure that your middle point, your vertex is in the middle. That would be accepted. I could also do angle R coming from the opposite direction, T and S. Either one would be correct. Let's look at one more together. Angle GFH or angle HFG. Both would be correct. All right, so let's look at Z12. Now this one we're going to have to use our notes quite a bit and add to your notes as you go through the examples, the activities. So you are looking at the parts of a circle. So this is a little bit of like a geometry question. In your notes that I created here with your Z notes, I posted them week 2 Friday. I added this, if you did print that off, I added this picture here. It's a little bit of a chart of parts of a circle. And so let's just make this a little bigger for you to see it. Okay. Right, so parts of a circle, you have got the radius. Now the radius, you are creating a line straight from the center of the circle that touches the outside of the circle. It has to come from the center, and it has to touch the circumference, the outside of the circle. In any direction, that would be a radius. So I could draw another radius on here, and that would be another radius. Okay, make sure it touches the outside of the circle. There is another radius. And if you were to be asked the question, how many radii, which is the plural of radius, how many radii are there in a circle? The answer is infinity, because there are an unlimited amount of radii. Okay, you could just make smaller pieces of pie the whole time. Okay, looking at the next one, a sector. A sector is a part, basically the piece of pie you've taken, right? So it would go from the center, touch, and from the center touch, make like 2 radii, but then the whole section is colored in. Can you see the radius is only that one line? The sector is the whole piece of pie that's missing. So the whole section that's colored in is, you could even ask your parents, can I have a sector of pie, please? All right, a segment is different. If you look carefully, the segment does not actually go through the center of the circle. Okay, if the center of the circle was there, the segment, this is a terrible way to cut a pie, right? You'd have a whole lot of crust and not too much filling. So a segment is not what you're wanting to ask when you're asking for a piece of pie, unless of course the crust is your favorite part. Okay, so segment and sector, that's how they differ. Sector goes to the center and a segment does not. The arc, that is, think of a little boat that you could draw. On the other side of that, there would be the boat, there's the sail, right? And the arc is the bottom of that boat that goes along the circle. Now, obviously, the arc could be at any point along the circle. So it does, maybe your ship is going through a little bit of rough seas and is turning upside down, but that is a way to remember how to work with an arc. It's the bottom of your boat. Okay, a tangent. A tangent is a line that goes, it's a straight line, and it brushes the edge of the circle and then continues. It does not break through, all right? It just touches the edge of the circle. The chord, a chord is basically a segment without taking the whole piece. It's just your initial cut, a chord. If you think of it like a guitar has, you play chords on a guitar, and it's just that string that goes across, right? Circumference, this is one you've used quite a few times. It's the outside of the circle, the edge. If you were to have a piece of string around the circle, then you could pull it straight and measure it. So that is how people have maybe measured circumference up until grade 6. There are lots of ways to measure using formulas and that. We'll get to that at a later activity. And then the diameter is different to a chord. In fact, a diameter is a chord, but it's a special chord because it goes right through the center of the circle. Right, it has to touch the center and both sides and be a straight line for it to be a diameter. So I hope that this helps. Refer to it. You can go back to these notes, look at them, even add more notes. I've been drawing little pictures for myself. You can see I'm drawing pictures. I'm adding what it's called as I go. If I make a mistake, then just keep adding from the mistake. Don't be so quick to click on the next or got it button. Look through, look at how you got it wrong, add it to your notes, and then you can refer to that next time. Remember, you can't have these notes with you tomorrow during your test, and spend the rest of the day practicing really well for that. So let's go back to our IXL. Let's get out of there. And we've still got a few of our little annotations. So let's have a look here. Which figure shows an arc? Now remember, the arc was the bottom of your boat. This one's going through a little bit of rough seas, okay? Because it's sideways. If we look at these, let's just revise. This one is a radius. This one is a chord. This one is the center of your circle, or center. And this one is arc. Okay, which figure shows the center? This is an arc, this is the center, this is a chord, and this is a diameter. One more together. which figure shows a chord? Well, this is a radius, this is a center, that's the chord, and this is your center angle. Okay, if you've got two radii going from the center and you haven't colored in the whole piece to make it a sector, but you've got an angle that's formed, we've just been doing angles in Z11. If it forms an angle there, that is then the center angle. All right, so the question's asking for a chord, and there we go. All right, grade sixes, I hope that you do well. Catching up, and remember, get everything up to 70 for the whole of Z, then everything up to 80, everything up to 90, everything up to 100. Don't spend all your time on one trying to get it to 100 when you haven't started something else. All right, I hope you do well. Shout if you got questions, and I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.